Everything old is new again. America's entertainment pop culture talk show.
It may well possess a rudimentary intelligence.
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Felt a great disturbance in the force.
Hello, I'm Mr. Red.
Come on, bark like a dog for me.
Where's the goodies? Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
I bet you wouldn't have done anything like this if Mom and Dad were here.
You filthy criminal.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Here are your hosts, Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Perhaps it's time to approach the question of UFOs again. For we can only hope that if we are being studied by aliens, it is with more thoroughness and care than we have focused on them.
Dr. Viviani, what do you think of that Leonard Nimoy comment?
Yeah, forget the report that just came out. Let's talk about Mr.
Go back
Spock.
to Nimoy. I was waiting
here?
for the Star Trek reference to come into here. So
We were so into this thing, and then
Now you've got a minute to talk about it. Go. Here we are, back on Everything Old is New Again, the ever-continuing discussion of all things paranormal and or UFO. Once in a while we do that. We're here with the resident alien himself, David Cohen.
yes, a legal alien, I might add.
Exactly.
But listen, is there a lead story? Because if there is, we need to cut to the chase now.
There is no lead story.
All right, then I can relax. Okay.
Now, that was the late, great Leonard Nimoy we just heard. I don't know if you're familiar with him. Our Star Trek reference and introduction to this topic all in one. How'd you like that?
I liked it.
That was from a prior show. With the most recent probe landing on China. Did you know China has landed a probe on the far side of the moon?
I saw that.
History
And
Channel
they
has...
brought a Pink Floyd album with them.
Exactly. The... Huh? Far side of the moon.
Dark side of the moon.
Okay.
There was the dark side they landed
Yes.
on, right?
Yes.
I think you said far side.
Same thing.
It's the same...
Oh. I'm sorry.
We'll get
we
to
have a
that.
special guest here.
Exactly.
It just corrected
Screwing
me.
up my introduction here. Now, listen. They also have... The History Channel has released Project Blue Book for 10 episodes, a TV series. Have you heard or seen that?
I know what a Kelly Blue Book is.
Now, rather interesting interview was done on Coast to Coast recently.
Should I try to keep being funny, or should I stop that?
No, because it's a
Okay.
long introduction. About a claim that there were 3 more Apollo missions. We didn't stop at 17, allegedly. We went 18, 19, which was a disaster, and 20 to the moon. And there's an astronaut, alleged astronaut, William Rutledge, was interviewed by Coast to Coast, and he says they found a large, like a half a mile long, ancient spaceship and a long dead alien on the far side of the moon, and it's time for us to revisit all things UFO on Everything Old.
So then the Chinese would be able to find that, right? If they're on the far side or dark side.
That's exactly right. We're going to find out.
Are they looking for it?
They
Do
sure
they
are.
know about it?
Yes, they do.
All right.
Returning to our show.
Oh, we're back to the introduction.
And
the continuing
from the
saga of the introduction.
And from the Rogues Gallery, ufologist extraordinaire and or our resident UFO enthusiast, exclusive to Everything Old is New Again, is Dr. John Viviani. This is his 12th appearance on the show. I don't
That's
know if you know that.
awesome, man. Yeah, welcome, John.
Not including his taped best of appearances, which you just heard a couple of weeks ago. He has been here for the Horse Track show. Remember that one?
Oh, right.
The Horse Track. He disagreed with our finding of the best TV sitcom of all time, if you remember that.
He
Always
disagreed
back.
with Seinfeld.
Correct.
Just for the record. Right, go ahead.
Attended the Burger Bowl, where we
Right.
rated the best, fast food hamburger of all time. We solved the conspiracy of the JFA conspiracy or
JFA.
assassination. The
Who is JFA?
JFK,
Okay.
Amelia Earhart, and we discussed the hunt for Hitler. Recently,
Was I here?
you were here.
We really did all that.
Yes, recently he joined us for the best hot dog-orama, if you remember that.
Yes,
We
right,
found out
yeah.
what was the best hot dog on the market that you can buy it and cook at home. And, of course, this is his 7th appearance on Everything Old is New Again, discussing UFOs. We only have 5 minutes left, but
But who's counting?
welcome to the show.
Thank you. 7.
12 and 12.
I know.
Together.
Yeah,
Been here.
Yeah.
This is the 7th UFO discussion. Now, I want to bring us back because there's a lot of stuff that we just talked about there about UFOs.
That you
if you were
talked
listening and not, yeah. Now the question is this: how do we start the topic of UFOs? It appears to me that many listeners, including young David Cohen, has no real awareness of Bob Lazar, Area 51, where it came from, and flying saucers. So I'm going to play a quick clip. There's an Area 51 and flying saucers 1918 documentary that's out on YouTube that you can check out.
Wait, what?
What do you mean 1918?
What are you saying?
I'm sorry, 2018. We'll clip that out. 2018
No,
documentary.
don't clip it out, because I think people need to know that,
No, I'm going to clip it out and say it again. 2018 documentary that is out to listen to and enjoy. Bob Lazar.
This story is extraordinary, especially if it's true. And it all started in the desert, just north of Las Vegas.
A local scientist who worked at Groom Lake
said to be where top-secret weapon systems have been tested over the years. Exactly what's going on up there?
What's going on up there could be the most important event in history. Physical contact and proof from another system, another planet, another intelligence.
My name's Bob Lazar. I'm known for working at a classified base and reverse engineered alien spacecraft.
I have no motivation to lie.
The science and the technology can change us.
We've always looked to the skies for answers instead of looking into ourselves.
First question, Dr. Viviani, is there a way you can determine what is wrong with that narrator, the way he's speaking?
Yes, it sounds like he has loose dentures.
I mean, could they get somebody that's a little bit better than that?
Hey, no, it doesn't sound
so we have an expert opinion on two things, UFOs, but first, that narrator and the way he's talking.
He drives me crazy, too.
What does that mean, loose dentures? He does not use
They don't fit well. Whatever it is in his mouth, his dentures either don't fit well or he's got crowns that are too big, so he talks like this.
What is a crown? What do you mean, the back teeth?
No, a crown is a cap that covers your tooth over if you have a broken tooth.
To be happy you don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
So in other words, his teeth are basically coming out of his face as he speaks. Am I wrong?
Correct.
Or he's afraid of them coming. He's like wearing loose shoes.
That's what it sounds like. Yes, loose shoes. That's right.
Yeah. He's wearing loose shoes.
He's flopping around.
He's running a marathon, running loose shoes, being taped to present himself to America on this Bob Lazar documentary, Area 51 and Flying Saucers.
I would offer my services, but I'm too busy researching UFOs. I have
you're
no time to make
exclusive to Everything Old is New again, too. But we could call that guy to get him. Why don't we call that guy and get him as a patient?
That's what I mean. But I'm too busy with my Bob Lazar in theories.
Discussions.
Who was that guy speaking? I thought that was Bob Lazar.
No, that was the documentarian.
The introduction.
Actually, he was just a narrator. He's not even the guy that created the documentary.
No. So he gets paid to talk.
Yes,
that's his point. That's why Douglas is all PO'd.
So weird.
Are you kidding? I mean, that was ridiculous. I could do better than that. Certainly, you are a professional. You could do better than that. Why don't they give us a call? No one knows. All right, let's go beyond that. I'm a little upset. But now, who's Bob Lazar, and why is he considered the Babe Ruth of all things UFO? Dr. Viviani.
Oh, in a nutshell, Bob Lazar is a scientist who claims he worked in Area 51, which is a secret testing area for the Air Force back in about 25, 30 years ago. And that's really where they developed the stealth aircraft, the Aurora, all kinds of stuff were developed out there. So they admit that, the government admits that place existed.
Now, you're saying he worked there.
Oh, he worked there, but basically, in a nutshell,
he worked in the cafeteria, though. Let's really put it in perspective.
No, he was an engineer.
He was an engineer. His story is that his job was to try and reverse engineer alien technology. I don't know how much detail you want me to get into, but
2 minutes worth.
Oh boy. Well, he actually claims that he went into the saucer and saw seats that were too small for humans. And he looked, and they had this, when you look out the side of the saucer, they had, like, it wasn't a window, but a transparency, like a clear transparency. But within the transparency were symbols and letters foreign. He tried to duplicate what those were.
Like a tablet almost.
Kind of, but clear.
More
like
advanced.
You see in the science.
Like
you ever see Star Trek Next Generations where they have that thing? It's like a window, but it's not a window.
Right.
So it was kind of like that.
But it's like a see-through tablet.
Yeah. Anyway, so then while he was working on this, he was befriended by John Lear, who was from the Learjet. He has like the most air.
Well, he's the son of the man that created the Learjet company.
Correct. And he's a pilot in his own right who's flown many, many hours. Anyway, he says, look, they're test flying these these sources every Wednesday at 8 o'clock.
And we'll stop you there because we're going to I have a tape of that later, but let's just go back to square one. He also says something about a C4 propulsion system.
I'm sorry,
is it S4?
S4 is not the propulsion system. S4 is a secret base that exists.
Right, no, but he says C4 propulsion. So he says, if you have a bowling ball on your bed, and you push your what would you say? You push down on the bed with your hand. The bowling ball is going to roll towards you. And did he not say that by reverse engineering is able to find out that that's the way the propulsion of these UFOs?
Well, I think by changing the magnetic fields, and he also went into the elements that are used supposedly for the fuel, but it has a really short half-life. We can't duplicate the elements. There's a lot of detail involved here I can't get into now.
Well, we'll get into it when we get back on Everything Old is New Again, talking all things UFO with Dr. John Viviani.
You're listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Hello, I'm Kevin Burns, and I'm the executive producer of the new Lost in Space on Netflix, The Curse of Oak Island, and Ancient Aliens on the History Channel. And you're listening to Everything Old is New Again with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Well, how about that, David Cohen?
Wow.
Now, Dr. Viviani, have you heard of that gentleman?
Yes, I have. I mean, he's my idol.
And have you heard those two shows that he was on?
Yeah.
Everything Old is New Again.
Oh, yes, I have. Those are fantastic shows, I must admit. One of my two favorite shows. Because I grew up in the same time frame as that guy, and he loved, we both loved the same stuff on TV, except he got to work and meet with them, and that's his job, is just interacting and creating these shows.
And now he's a friend of Everything Old is New Again.
Yeah.
So we may have to have him on board one time when you're here. Now, let's get back to, because the reason I talk about him is he's the creator of Ancient Aliens, is entering its 9th season right now on History Channel. They talk all about what we're talking about here. Now, Bob Lazar and his friends visited. You were saying before about every Wednesday. So let me just back up. Bob Lazar is a gentleman who claims...
I don't know if he's a gentleman.
claims, and he was the first... No, if you look at his background, he's not. Claims, and the first... that's cryptic, but look it up, you'll see. If you see any references to Area 51, it came from him originally. He was the one that said Area 51 exists. Mm-hmm. He also said there are hangars that are in the hills,
in the mountains
around there that are camouflaged. And if you look online now, you can see people have found what they think are those hangars. By using Google Earth and so forth. So anyway, so what he has said, a lot of what he said has come to be. More specifically, back in the day in '89, he was with this John Lear, and he told John Lear what was happening.
He said every Wednesday at whatever time, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, we're test flying discs. He said, above the desert, and you got to see this. He goes, really? He goes, yeah. So I think for 2 or 3 weeks in a row, they went out there with their camcorders, and they have the tape of this test flight of a disc.
We have the tape. John Lear, March 22nd, 1989. He's at the site at that time, predicted by Bob Lazar at 10 o'clock. You're going to see test flights. By the way, may or may not be flown by human beings, of UFOs above us. They taped them, they saw them, and this is what
a total of 5 witnesses on 2 consecutive weeks managed to dodge security patrols long enough to see the strange glowing object lift above the mountain.
It came up above the same mountain. It moved around. It did a step move. It actually went up in the air like this and hovered, then dropped way down. Then it just floated around and cruised around, and then it started coming up the mountain range. Wow, look how bright it's getting! Look at it now. It is bright right now.
This is John Lear, and today is March 22nd, 1989. We're standing just about 8 miles due east of Groom Lake, Nevada, the super government secret test site. And just a few minutes ago, we saw one of the government extraterrestrial UFOs fly over there. We all watched it for about 7 or 8 minutes.
Now, that was 1989. What's happened since 89 with this information? Was this ever followed up on? Did anybody react to this? Why is this almost silent now about this?
Well, it was kind of because they tried to discredit Lazar, although they have it on tape.
Right.
So much to discredit. But they went to discredit his background and said he's making things up. And then there was a lot of disinformation come out. But then the government admitted there was Area 51, but that's where we tested our stuff. But they don't admit anything.
Think about that. He came out in '89 saying there was an Area 51 and this is what we did and there's aliens there and so forth. And the government denied that for a long time. A long time. And then like 20 years later, they finally come out and say, oh, yeah, by the way, there is an Area 51. Well, David, what do you think of that?
Yeah, very interesting. I just Googled him when you said, John mentioned he might not have been a gentleman. Now I understand why.
Okay. But it has nothing to do with this.
Well,
it's nothing to do. It's his social life. It has nothing to do with this.
Social life?
Yes.
All right. So anyway, to me, it's the rantings of a lunatic, but I'm willing to. I'm going with you guys. I'm keeping an open mind.
Let me back up. I didn't just show audio tape. That was a videotape of them at the site, and you could see the UFOs, them taping them then and there.
But it could be it could be us sending those things up, right? They could have been right. You said it could be either or, right?
Yeah, but whatever. There's disc technology being tested there.
Okay.
And so if he was, how did he know that it was going to be there at 8:00 at night on a Wednesday night to be there to tape if he wasn't in fact?
I'm
working?
sure he knew that it was going on, but how does he know it's a UFO? Like how does he know that it wasn't just the U.S. government doing these test flights?
Well, we don't know who was flying them, but it's not our discs. It's not our technology. We're trying to back. His story is that they're back engineering the flying saucers. So we're trying to either learn how to use them or someone's showing us how to use them.
Have you ever seen a stealth bomber, David?
Yes.
Cohen? Does it look like any airplane you've ever seen?
No.
Why do you think and where do you think the technology came to develop that from?
From very smart guys and women.
Why are there no one else on the planet came up with it? Beyond that, no one else on the planet still has used it. And P.S., no one has built upon that technology since. That was developed like 25 years ago.
Because it works well.
We no longer, there's so many jets and airplanes and technology that is advanced. No technology is advanced with respect to stealth technology because it's top of the line. It's always been top of the line, and nothing's developed beyond it because it's beyond our capability.
So where are you going with this?
Stealth technology came from Area 51. That's the claim.
Okay.
From reverse engineering UFOs.
Oh, see, that second claim is the one.
Now, let's take a look. There's another gentleman. We're going to the far side of the moon now.
But I'm going with you. All right, I'm following.
Go with us. There's a whole show here.
Okay.
Another more recent gentleman, Sergeant Carl Wolf. Have you heard of this guy, Doctor?
Yes.
In U.S. Air Force, he was He was in the Air Force in 1964 to 1968. He was a technician at Langley Air Force Base. He had classified surveillance technology that he was the one to review, and this is what he has to say that he saw when he was reviewing the technology at Langley.
They were doing 35-millimeter strips of film at that time, which were then assembled into 18.5 by 11-inch mosaics, they were called. And those strips were from successive passes around the moon. We walked over to one side of the lab, and he said, by the way, we've discovered a base on the back side of the moon. And I said, at the time I had been given about 30 of these photographs. They're massive. Some of the structures are, half a mile in size. So they're huge structures.
Doctor, you have any more information on this gentleman? Follow up on just that little quote.
On him specifically?
Well, about what he's claiming.
No, well, yes, that there was the structures on the that there are structures on the moon. He claims that but
alien
not ours, and that he was actually afraid to look at them because there's security around him. I think we'll get into that.
You can get into it now.
Oh, okay. Well, he's like, I wanted to look at it, but then I had to stop looking because there was security guards around. I was afraid because I didn't want to know too much information. But he says they were really tall structures, dome-like structures, not just random structures like together, like as if it was like a kind of a city type thing. And there's actually, I don't know if you have a clip, there's some supposed clips from, we're going to get into Apollo 20, that show that actually.
So what we're building, the idea is that first Bob Lazar is there talking about and presenting information about Area 51, and what he says, some of it has been proven to be true. Some of it is still, of course, speculation, but the fact that that facility was there when the government was denying it was there and so forth, and that he was there and filmed UFOs flying above. Now you've got this other gentleman saying in the 60s when we were taking passes, when the Apollo missions were going around the moon, they were taking films and pictures of the moon, and the pictures were sent back.
Yeah, how come we never
interpreted.
saw pictures of the far side of the moon?
He also says, why are the pictures... Back then, even in the 60s, you know the satellite pictures we have now, and we can almost look back, like you see 24, and you can see from the satellite, like someone, license plate. He says, we had that technology back then. He said, as a matter of fact, if you go on the internet, you can see now tremendously clear pictures from Apollo from the moon. However, we've never. He says the pictures he saw, and many of the pictures you see now on the internet, are all distorted and grainy. Why is that? Why do you think they're doing that?
Well, they're trying to cover something up.
If you've got a clear picture versus a grainy picture, do you not see that there's an advantage to the clear picture, David Cohen?
How do we know they had clear pictures?
Oh, I can go on the internet right now and show you a cornucopia of pictures that are spotless, clear pictures. We'll do that in the break, of what you see on the moon. But when you see the pictures, the videos, and other pictures that are released to the public, especially in the 60s and 70s when this is a hot topic, they're very, very blurry. Right or wrong, Doctor?
Well, I don't know which ones you're referring to, but yes, they were. Well, that goes to Mars photos too. Same thing.
Yeah, why are they blurry?
I don't know why.
He questions that. He's like, I don't understand. We have the technology
because they claim that the first generations were touched up to hide something, and then they make a copy of that, and that becomes blurry, and then they blur other things.
There's a lot of surreptitious activity that's happening, and this gentleman says, and I know David's you're going to say, who's this guy? Why is he talking about this? Where is there information about? Why does it come forward further? He's saying that when he left the military, he had people following him for 5 years to make sure he wasn't releasing.
Yeah, he couldn't go on vacation and everything.
Yeah. So anyway, we're getting there. On Everything Old is New Again, we're going to go to and take a look at see what's going on the far side of the moon with China when we get back on Everything Old is New Again.
Did China send any pictures yet?
Not yet.
Why would they share them with us anyway? They don't share anything.
Yeah. How come China goes and we didn't?
Hey, Doug, it seems like we've done so many shows. What is the actual count?
We're at 214 and counting, increasing every week.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
All right, so let's say that I'm a listener, I'm a fan of the show, and I've missed the last 213 shows, right? Where can I go to hear this stuff?
It's a great question. We have a channel on YouTube. So just go to Everything Old is New Again Radio. Look that up on YouTube. Just throw it into the search engine. You will see us come up, and you will see all of those shows listed on YouTube. You can listen anytime.
Now, what if I wanted to find you somewhere else, like on Facebook?
Yeah, we're on Facebook. Yeah, absolutely. Facebook also. Just go Everything Old is New Again in the search. You will find us. And we post shows all the time. In fact, every Friday at 5 Eastern Standard Time, we post an old show so you can listen to it on the way home from work.
Wow. That's cool. That's new, right?
It sure is. I would suggest you do that. Everything Old is New Again. Enjoy. And you can find us on the web at everythingoldisnewagain.biz.
This is Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
What's that? There's a jet of flame springing from the mirror that leaps right at the advancing men. It strikes them head on. Logs are turning into flames. The whole field's caught up by the woods of fires. The gas tanks of the automobiles spreading everywhere. It's coming this way now, about 20 yards to my right.
Welcome back to Everything Old is New Again. That sounds like what's happening here in the studio in between commercial breaks here. We're talking all things UFOs with David Cohen and UFO... What would you say now? Do we get UFO enthusiast or ufologist extraordinaire or a combination of the two, Dr. John Viviani?
I think a combination. I don't think I'm an extraordinaire, but I'm an enthusiast.
An enthusiast extraordinaire?
Enthusiast extraordinaire, ufologist.
But then you threw in ufologist, so now we've got everything.
Right.
All you do is add an extra word.
I am what I am.
Dr. John Viviani.
It does lend credibility when you say doctor.
Yeah.
Acknowledging that he's a dentist and not a PhD in
right, astronomy,
world sciences, yeah. But okay, so here's the idea. We're trying to get a focus on China's mission to the far side of the moon and what, if anything, it will reveal. Before we go further, Doctor, have you seen this on YouTube where there was the original Apollo 10 mission, astronauts Gene Cernan and John Young. Before we landed on the moon, we sent out, the same mechanisms, the lunar module and the orbiter, and we released them and had them orbit the moon. And while on the far side of the moon, Gene Cernan was in one, and this fella, another astronaut, John Young, was in another. And every time they went to the dark side, and there's no audio of this, but there's, what would you say? There's a transcript of everything that was said, unredacted, and they're both talking about strange music that appears and that they hear, and they're in two separate vehicles, and they're talking back and forth, and they're saying, "Do you hear this music? Yes, it's eerie. What's this music? It sounds odd. It sounds like music." And then they say, "No one will believe us," and so they never released and discussed that with anyone. But as they went around the far side, they heard music, alien type of music. Have you heard this claim?
No, that I have not heard.
Right, so I do my research.
I've heard the music, though.
It later on developed to be something called the news. Our band in high school. So here's the thing. That is curious to me, and you can look that up on YouTube. It's there. The transcript is there. Now, the audio tape's not there, but this fellow's been interviewed about that, and he confirms it. This astronaut, Gene Cernan from Apollo 10, confirms he shouldn't be hearing anything.
Did the other astronaut corroborate?
Yes, they both heard it in separate vehicles.
No, but I mean, did he come on and say, yes, that...
I'll have to look that up if there was a corroboration between the two, if they're even both alive. I will follow up on that. But so that's curious.
No,
so is there something going on the far... I didn't say when I would do it. On the far side of the moon or not? Now, let's go to Coast to Coast.
Well, explain what
Station,
that is.
It's one of, if not the largest syndicated show on the radio. And it presents paranormal information, UFO information on a regular basis. Doctor, is this some interest to you, this radio show, Coast to Coast?
Oh, absolutely. I listen to it all the time.
Is it a source, or is it of information, or is it just an outlet, you think, or both?
It's both, but it's basically an outlet because they have limited time. Well, the guests come on different topics, and some of them have written books, some of them do different research. So what I do is I listen to Coast, and if I see a topic or a subject that I like, then I'll go research further the guy who was on and what he's claiming or he's presenting something. And sometimes I'll buy the book or go to YouTube or a movie or.
All right, so now there was a gal on that show recently. I forget her name. I hate to do that. I don't
Linda
remember her name. What?
Linda Moulton Howe?
Okay, that's her. And she had interviewed a gentleman by the name of William Rutledge, who in 2007 released a video that has now been released on YouTube that you can see in 3 parts that allegedly shows when he allegedly went to the moon in Apollo 20. Now remember, our last mission was 17 officially. He says there were 2 other missions before his. One of them ended in disaster, if you remember. And Apollo 20, now he says he landed on the moon, has video. Doctor, walk us through what he is claiming this video shows.
Well, the video shows tall skyscraper type structures on the moon, as well as like kind of a city type thing.
Right.
And as well, what you don't see on that the video, well, you could look harder. He claims that there's a reflection in his visor of these 2 eyes, big eyes of an alien that was there. That's what he's claiming that as well. That guy, he was interacting with some sort of alien on the far side of the moon. But that you really have to look close to see that, the reflection.
And what else did you say they found?
What do you mean?
Well, you see this huge spaceship.
Oh, that, yeah. That was the videos from the Apollo, from looking down on the surface. They saw a huge, looked like the alien spaceship, and then they went down in there.
So as they orbited, they saw this huge spaceship. They went down into it's about half a mile long. They gained entry to the spaceship, right?
But I don't know where that was in comparison to the city that he saw.
They both were on the far side, but yeah, they separated. Now, they then found what they're dubbing the Mona Lisa, which is what? A body of a young woman partially mummified with a thin layer of waxy substance covering its skin, right?
Yes.
And she appeared to be locked into controls of the spaceship by a device connected to her eyes and her nose.
Right. Similar to like what they say, like now they have the Google, Google, that piece, the Google glasses that can interact.
Yep. And so what did they do? They disconnected that. They brought the being back to the ship, and you could see on the video them
supposedly
fooling
doing
around with this
autopsy.
Autopsy. You would do something with it.
I don't know.
So what do you think of this?
That's another video.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think about this. I always wondered why we never saw any pictures from the far side of the moon. Well, I suppose because you have to land there to take pictures because there's no light there. Is that right? If to take it from above.
So how are they videoing this on Apollo 20?
Here's the question. Well, they landed. They landed, and they had the like a light. They illuminate the area. Now, the spacecraft that's shown in the footage, they say, experts have looked at this and say it's a very close match to the interior of the Apollo lunar modules.
Oh, you mean the interior of his craft?
Of what he's claiming was the Apollo 20.
So there's a video of him claiming that of him in Apollo 20 in the craft. Yeah, the U.S.
Now, of course, this has been met by widespread skepticism, but people that are in the know say, well, you got to at least look at this because all the toggles and all the switches and everything that you could see and the window and so on that's in this video shows an interior of exactly what NASA is saying the interior of the lunar module looks like. Right. So does that
like I said, I saw I'd like to see that video more, but I don't know if you see him actually floating. You know how you see the pictures, they're floating and they got stuff floating around. I don't know if they show that.
No, I don't see it, but they also
don't see that.
Right, but what they did do is they show the patch of Apollo 20 and that it's a joint U.S.-Soviet mission, and they name a high-profile astronaut from the Soviets by the name of Leninov that allegedly was in and with Rutledge on this mission. Now, has anyone talked to that guy Leninov? That's the problem. I think he's passed away.
Yeah, I don't know. This is what they call the dark ops. After 17, it went dark, and the secret. There's a lot of secret stuff in the government technology that they.
David Cohen, what do you think? Where are you on this?
He's falling asleep.
It's just a little suspect to me.
Why?
I want to believe, so I'm I have an open mind, but it's just not enough. There's not enough there.
Let's see what comes from the Chinese. If now they land on the far side, if they're after something there, they should find it.
Sure.
That's the problem. We haven't seen anything from China. David, do you think they'll release anything to us?
I mean, I don't think they share a lot with us. So I think if they find something, that's another hurdle. Whether they would share it with us.
Total and complete speculation. But why are they landing a craft unmanned on the far side of the moon? First question.
Because it's never been explored before?
Okay. If that's the case, I agree. So if that's the case, do you think they're planning to send a manned mission, Doctor, to the far side of the moon?
I don't know if they can. I don't know if they have the technology.
Why would they have to if they find enough by sending an unmanned probe? Why would they? Is it going to land there? Is it going to take samples? Is that the?
Well, isn't that that's the speculation? The speculation is that China wants to, although they're having some financial problems now, but once when they were high and mighty with their economy was going strong, they want to have bases on the moon. They want to own the moon. This is with the whole thing, but also they want to investigate what's going on the far side of the moon. My only question is, why? What do you care about the far side of the moon for? I think it's interesting. I would like to find out what's going on the far side of the moon. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting if you said, are they going to be transparent? Or, are they going to, maybe at one point is, if they do find stuff, maybe they won't be as secretive as us and say, hey, look, we found this, you didn't find, trying to top us.
Right. So what are you guys holding a secret for? Here you go. Here it is.
Like they become the heroes.
Right. We'll find out more and discuss more about Project Blue Book and the new TV show, right, as we return on Everything Old is New Again.
Yeah, they're like 30
years. This is Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Ezekiel saw the wheel. This is the wheel he said he saw. These are unidentified flying objects that people say they are seeing now. Are they proof that we are being visited by civilizations from other stars? Or just what are they? The United States Air Force began an investigation of this high strangeness in a search for the truth. What you are about to see is part of that 20-year search.
About that.
Listen, I agree there's some high strangeness going around, but
where is it coming from? Across the desk, or is it up in the air? You don't know.
I don't know.
It could be across the recording desk.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously it's there, but in other high strangeness.
Now, that was Project UFO, the beginning of a show that was on NBC 78 to 79. It was on for 2 seasons, had 20 episodes, was introduced by Jack Webb from Dragnet. We're going way back, but he was highly interested in this topic, and I don't know, do you remember the beginning of Dragnet? Dun, dun,
That
dun,
sounded the same music. That first note was the same.
I should have clipped that just to show. That was so funny. So anyway, when you know something works, you stick with it, right? So he presented this show. I remember us watching it. It was a little disappointing.
Yeah, that's why I don't remember it that much, because we was looking forward to it, but it didn't show anything great.
Yeah, they tried to dramatize the different events of different sightings and.
But now
and
what?
So
it's coming back.
So now,
it's back.
That's what everything old is new again. It's amazing. Right now, Project Blue Book, a TV series on History Channel, has been released. There's only 10 episodes, from what I understand, scheduled. Robert Zemeckis is one of the executive producers of Back to the Future fame.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's got some significant people behind it. Aidan Gillen, from your
Game of
Thrones show, David Cohen.
Oh, sure, of course.
He's the star of this show. Describe who he is just so for our listeners will know who this Aidan Gillen is if they're fans of Game of Thrones. He's the thin guy that's manipulating all the scenes.
Yeah, he's Littlefinger in Game of Thrones, and but he was also he was in a whole season of The Wire. If you're familiar with The Wire,
no,
it's one of the great TV shows of all time.
So why did it only last one season, or is it still going?
The Wire was on for around 4 or 5 seasons.
Okay.
Really?
The Wire launched a lot of careers of very famous actors and actresses now. Yeah, you should check it out. It's anyway, we're getting off topic.
So
but he's been around for a while. He's really good. He's a British actor. Sorry, an Irish actor. Yeah. So
Gotcha.
what is his role in this?
He plays J. Allen Hynek, who is the main protagonist in this project.
So this isn't
Blue
like
Book.
a documentary thing.
No.
This is like a
they investigate different sightings.
Dramatization.
It's a dramatization
of what J. Allen Hynek went through. He was this gentleman.
They're retelling the story.
He's a scientific advisor that undertook the UF Air Force project on 3 different projects. He was involved in Project Sign, which is 1947 to 49, Project Grudge, 49 to 52, and Project Blue Book, 59 to 69. He basically was the astrophysicist, ufologist expert for the U.S. government.
But what the show doesn't show or didn't show enough of is that he was hired as a skeptic. He was the scientist, an astrophysicist, and the government called him in and said, "Listen, we're getting a lot of these people with these sightings. We want you to prove that they're nothing. What are they? Show that they wanted him to show that they're nothing. And the more he got involved in real life with these sightings, he turned from severe skeptic to a believer.
AKA Project Blue Book is similar to X-Files, is it not? Does it sound familiar?
I was going to say, it sounds like the Scully becoming a Mulder.
I would suggest that there's definitely a correlation between the two if we were able to get somebody on from X-Files, creator of that show. But other than that, so the point is that now there's a renewed interest in this topic, and I don't know why there's only 10 episodes. Are you following this at all?
I don't know. Maybe there'll be more.
Maybe, but right now 10 are going to be presented. You've seen how many? One?
No, there's only one out. I saw the first one.
And what did you think of it? Give us an idea of what's going on here.
It was really, like I said, the only problem I had with it was they didn't present him as a skeptic, enough of a skeptic.
So what about he's working with another person?
Yeah, he's
highly skeptical.
No. The guy he's working with for the Air Force, the officer for the Air Force, has been told by his generals, make it a weather balloon, get rid of this story. And then they brought on the scientists to have some gravitas. And then when the scientists started saying, hey, I want to look into it more, the guy, no, it's a weather balloon. We're done with this. And then he starts saying, but you hired me for my expertise. I want to investigate properly. And
now, this guy, John Allen
Hynek?
Joseph Allen Hynek, I just want to give you a little idea. He's widely considered the father of the concept of scientific analysis, both of reports and especially of trace evidence reported left by UFOs. He's the one that developed the system of close encounters of the first, second, or third kind. So he's, like it or not, he is a scientific individual that got involved, rolled his sleeves up, and wanted to see for real.
Yeah.
For real, not as a goof, is this happening or not? Now, where's this series going to go? We don't know, right? I mean, how's it going to develop?
The first one ended pretty cool, where the pilot, from the Air Force pilot, they kind of they drugged him up, took him away, and kind of made it. And they said he never spoke about this again. Kind of disappeared.
I just wonder now. My only question is, is this a totally fictional, like, what a historical fiction, like Titanic was? You create characters around a real event, or is this based upon?
I don't know, because the real Project Blue Book was kind of a farce. Because when they started, it was out to prove that they were not existing. It was the Air Force's way of saying, "Hey, this is our quote investigation, but you better not come up with an answer other than that they're not real."
But we know that a result of the thousands and thousands, I forget the numbers, but it was something like 30,000 cases they investigated. There were some that they could not do that for.
About 5%, I think.
So, there was a decent number of cases that were remained open. Well, so let's look at this. We've seen over a number of shows lots of allegations. David, over the last 7 shows, have there been any allegations that you find, whether it be this show or in the past videos and audios, and that have some significance that lend you to raise an eyebrow, say maybe something's going on here? Remember?
There's a little bit. I'll admit, there's a little bit.
Like which? Do you remember off the top of your head? I know it's a hard, if you want, I remember the Tic Tac one.
Yes, that was it. Yeah, the Tic Tac stands out most in my mind.
Which were, if you remember, no.
The aliens had Tic Tacs on them, and they found them in their pocket, and
they developed the Tic Tacs as a device to
the Tic Tacs
our culture.
Those were those flying things that were going in unison with each other.
Yeah,
they look like Tic Tacs.
But Doctor, what was it?
You think I don't listen? I'm listening.
Well, but we had the thing was the U.S. government did what with those? The U.S. government had pilots flying
actual U.S. Navy
locked
or
into
Air Force pilots following them, and there was that commentary as it was happening.
Right.
But I'll tell you one thing. What really keeps me believing is that, I don't know if you remember the news a couple of weeks ago, or months ago, I guess at this point, in New York, that Con Ed plant explosion where the sky, you could see it from Manhattan and Queens. We're looking out our window, and the sky, it was like nighttime. The sky lit up like it was late afternoon. And it was this flashing blue light. It kept on going for over a minute. And as you're watching it, you're trying to figure out what it is, right? And at the time, it ended up being this weird phenomenon where there was an explosion at a Con Ed plant in Queens in New York. And it was sort of like, if you can imagine a lightning bolt, but a constant stream from a tower to the ground, a constant stream of light. And it lit up the sky for miles around. And so you start thinking, okay, it's not fireworks, it's not lightning because it's on too long. It can't be like an invasion because, again, it's like over a minute long. So the thing that everyone thought is, this is a UFO, this is an alien land. What else could it be? There was nothing else to explain this strange light that was glowing for over 1 minute and then just went out completely, went dark.
So it was or was not related to this power plant?
It was related to the power plant, but what went through my mind instantly was, oh wow, this could be. What if this is like the thing? Like they're here, here, and they want to talk to us, and I started getting excited about it, because with everything, and it got really philosophical with me and my wife, because like with everything going on in the world right now, I'm like, this would be great. Like we need some alien landing right now to contact us, and that would be the biggest news story of all time. It would like flush out everything else that's going on in the world right now, and wouldn't that be awesome? So Yeah, it's like I almost experienced an alien encounter, so I'm still willing to go on this
Your
journey with you
suspension of
guys.
disbelief.
Yeah, imagine if you
exists.
saw something that wasn't explained, and you're like, you know,
right?
But
If that was never
what do you
explained.
want somebody to explain it, right? Like the government to look into it and do a real research into what the heck this stuff is, and then not have them cover it up.
And it's great if it happened in a one of the most populous urban areas in the world, like it did here. There's no way they could cover it up, right? There's no way.
Well,
so
yeah, it's something that we need a Project Blue Book now to look at.
We have a situation in West Virginia. Family reported seeing something falling from the sky.
I'll get down there right away. I need you to meet someone first.
Name's Dr. Alan Hynek.
You want me to investigate flying saucers?
I want you to help me prove to the public the truth. They don't exist.
I'm wondering if Professor Hynek will one day be a problem that needs solving.
You think it's possible extraterrestrial life exists?
The probability of us being alone in our universe is 0.
Logic can't begin to explain what we're dealing with here.
Dr. Viviani, will you be looking to Project Blue Book in the future, and will you become the next Dr. Hynek?
I will definitely be watching for more episodes. I really enjoyed the show.
We need a Dr. Hynek.
Well,
we need somebody who's going to take this.
I'll be your Dr. Hynek.
All right, we'll be back next week on Everything Old's New Again. Talk more things